You know, one thing I noticed about all the fires and stuff recently is it's not getting rid of any of the problem. It's burning like the grass, which, like, the plants and animals are a disease. They're a support issue to the cancer. Earth is a support system to the cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to go beat up an old fucking man who's walking down the road, you can break his cane, you can take his shoes off him, you can steal his fucking ibuprofen. But if you want to fucking get rid of the man because he's raping kids or something, you just fucking get rid of the man. The support issues, yeah, sure, no one wants his fucking cane. Fucking burn the cane. No one wants to fucking see his fucking shoes anymore, especially those children he's been raping. Burn the fucking shoes after the fact. You get rid of the fucking cancer to begin with. So when you got the cancer media telling you that GID, which GID are we talking about? Which GID is starting the fires and flooding the planet? Which of the 240 GIDs who created the humans fucking are we talking about? Why don't we ever specify which GID we're talking about? Maybe because that destroys the fucking illusion that it exists. If we don't just say GID instead of say fucking whichever one is the city we worship in. I personally like Appaloosa, but the Native American GID. So let's see who would own space lasers and advanced technology to burn down Israel. Israel would, because they own all the tech. Elon Musk would, because he owns all the tech. And they got the tech on the level where they can burn down a tree. And guess who's making up all the GID stories? It's GID's chosen. Elon Musk. And the Israelis. It's GID's chosen. Hey, GID's chose me. It's a Roman Italian. GID's chose me. GID's chose me to rape children and enslave you and make up 240 different GIDs. Bitch, they're pushing, they're fucking genocide everyone on the planet with their Bibles and their fucking Korans and their atheist textbooks and fucking, they're enslaving everyone on the planet with all their GIDs and anti-GID cults. It's just fucking cult members come from one fucking shitty DNA line that their people can only make like 7 fucking actions. Their DNA is more complex than this goddamn vape pen. Not at all. Have you ever met one of them? I met a ton. It feels like I've only met one. Why does it feel like I've only met like 1 or 2 people in my life and I met hundreds of thousands? How come some of them have the same fucking name and are like the same fucking person while having the same fucking name and look the fucking same while having the same fucking name and being the same fucking person doing the same fucking things? How the fuck is that? I wonder if that's related to how I fucking request to see the person again and another goddamn clone of them shows the fuck up. I wonder if it's possible that they're just that fucking simple when they come out of the fucking factory that we can see repeat patterns like people going around making up GID stories and eternal victim stories are out there promoting their GID stories and their eternal victim stories. And lo and behold, if I set myself on fire, or rather, if I do that, I can't do anything. I definitely can't rape any more kids or be president anymore of every nation on the fucking planet, or own any stores, or like every store out fucking side the door here. Fucking, I couldn't do all that if I set myself on fire. But if I set my tree on fire, then I could be like, that must be my kid attacking me. Kid's attacking me. Kid's attacking me. Ah, kid's attacking me. And well, I guess if you got if Gid creates some vape pens with legs that can make beeping noises, you might mistake them for living beings. And then you might end up calling them things like humans. And then the vape pen, obviously, it's not very smart. It'll be like, oh my God, Gid's attacking them. Gid's attacking them. And then, like you would have like a living being look at it like Gid's attacking the tree. The tree's on fire. I don't see Gid attacking them. But my vape pen, it's mildly retarded. That's why we don't let it beep, because it would probably just like beep, 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 and wouldn't shut the fuck up till I smashed it and fucking went and burned down the fucking factory it's building. So that's the fact of the matter. Gid isn't attacking Israel. Gid isn't attacking LA. Gid's attacking buildings. Gid's attacking grass and trees in Israel. There was nothing else. In fact, it's not even attacking. It looks beautiful to me. Like, awesome. I was looking for the fires in 2020 that they were telling me I was starting, since I'm Gid. The shape-shifting, teleporting aliens who apparently have these other awesome powers Gid's jealous of, like owning everything and controlling everything and enslaving the fucking planet, and the ability to teleport and shapeshift and do anything and everything they want, and not have a race of fucking mutants in their life fucking destroying their fucking life the entire time they're here. Fucking Gid's not that powerful, apparently. But you know what Gid also didn't see? Gid didn't see any actual fucking fire. Gid was looking for the fires, didn't see it. Somehow the car's covered in soot. There's no fire. Somehow the sky is red, even over the ocean, as if it's fake and the world doesn't exist at the fuck all. And they're shining red. They just turned the Batman light into a red light, and they're shining it over the fucking ocean or something. That fakeness probably plays a role here, but let's not get too far off. You think Gid is attacking people by burning a tree down? Yeah, maybe. I mean, have you met a human? Gid is a failure. If whatever created humans is a fucking disgusting pedophile piece of trash. Fucking rapist, fucking pedophile, low IQ son of a bitch. Fucking, must have had some help, because how the fuck do you even create, obviously they worship an AI, so it's like AI, they're being AI generated, and that's not even real. That's just software. It's just random generation software. There's no such thing as AI. But apparently that's who Gid is the all-seeing AI and shit. Fucking, that makes sense, because it's they're literally clones and they have no thoughts, huh? Fucking, that's just being auto-generated, huh? But so maybe that's why Gid's a failure. Maybe that's why whoever created Gid must be a failure too, fucking. But look at that shit. And you got all those comments. I mean, are you telling me the bots, or are you telling me that this amoeba species really evolved from prehistoric slime to humans yesterday? And then magically they got given the ability to talk and be literate in the year 20 2004, because in the year 1998, most of the world was still illiterate, but then in 2004, they're all online magically and typing. Other than that, the internet is 99% bots and fake bots, but which is obvious it is. You can tell that, but the problem comes when I go outside and I realize they're fucking bots too and shit. Like, you're just like, shut down, and they're like, I got the flu, I gotta shut down. It's my frontal cortex has a virus. It's like, oh, you're a computer, you got a virus. A virus ate through your hard drive, huh? Interesting. It's like, isn't that weird that the humans or GID could come up with that? Like they're like telling you who they are. Like there's some ass clowns hiding that they know they're fucking non-existent pieces of shit. Fucking, like, it's all like written there. Like they've been bragging the whole time they're trash, and since 2023 they've been going back to like hiding and being like, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, it's like, you don't. Maybe you should jump in that fire if you don't know what I'm talking about then. But you see what I'm saying? No one should have to jump in the fire. The fire should be coming to them. If GID was bringing the fire, why isn't the fire going to do a good job? Is GID a failure? It sounds to me, I've been on Earth for a long time, and I can tell you, whatever's generating this place is a failure. And it's their job to correct their failures and erase their failures and make something better of it. You don't just take a shit in the middle of the street and leave it there, do you? Why would you take a shit in the middle of the Milky Way and leave it there? So, obviously, what we have here, we have some fucking mutant race on the planet with a bunch of bots fucking working for it. Explain to me how we have one race who's smart enough to fucking walk and talk without drooling on themselves or tripping over their feet, who owns everything, and the others are too fucking lazy and stupid to do anything about it. And then, like, they do show up, but so they're like beside him, like literally the GID people bring me humans like gifts. You might as well put them in chains and shackles and drag them around when you bring them to me, because it's like every fucking time that's what's happening. Like I remember these memories for some reason, and I'm always like, what the fuck did I have these memories for? And then I get shown like who owns everything, and it's like, oh, that makes sense, doesn't it? It's GID's chosen, his favorite pedophiles and terrorists. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Like at this point in time, like because of them, I realize like the only thing there is on Earth is killing. And if they're doing all the killing and raping and shit, then, like, that's all everyone else is doing. So at least they're the best at it. So we should probably enjoy what there is to enjoy on Earth, because there is nothing else. There is a bunch of terrorist scum who need killed. And they need fucking tortured for their fucking centuries of it at this point. I'm realizing that. But you see, like, we wouldn't have to get here if we didn't have to be here in the first place. So it's not something that should be done, but it's something that has to be done as a means to ends. Like the fire, there's no need for a fire to burn down a tree. We can get rid of all the fucking trees and plants. Sure fucking thing. I fucking hate dirt. It's dirty. Only dirty people like dirt. So we can get rid of all that. Just fucking glass parking lot, all the fucking dirt on the planet. Sure. But what about the actual fucking problem? I notice that's not being washed down the river as much as dirt is being washed down the river. Or burnt up in fires and shit. So we have Gids chosen, inventing 240 different Gids to go around and tell people that they're invisible. There are 240 different one true invisible Gids have chosen them to enslave the planet and kill everyone off and replace them with some people who look like Einstein or Caitlyn Jenner if they put on makeup and you're not, or Howard Stern. Fucking, Woody Allen. So God, I guess Gid's just like men. If we just combine men and women into one, then we can reduce it all down to we just need one person left on the planet that we can have sex with and recreate and procreate or something. I don't know. He's got bad taste apparently. So and then I guess at the end of the day I realized like, hey, if you're raping children, they probably deserve it. Fucking after being here watching them, someone's children needs rape. It's probably the people doing the raping fucking children, but hey, you live with it long enough, you gotta adapt. You've gotta fit in and become human. They're never gonna quit. They're not even gonna fucking begin to start. Like, they're not even gonna quitting. That was a deception. Fucking people didn't want to quit in 2020. They wanted to fucking double down on that shit. They doubled down my ass. That was like what the humans are always doing, just fucking full madhouse, fucking open with it. That was their last illusion of anything. They just fucking piss that down the drain, let it on fire so everyone could see them piss it down the drain, and they fucking threw a billboard saying we're pissing it down the drain, come and watch 7 p.m. tonight. They advertise that shit fucking in commercials for months and shit. Check out the pissing down the drain. It's going on. Be there. We'll have it on the radio too. Fucking, we'll beam it up into space with some fucking Morse code transmissions. Pissing down the drain. Show up. 7 p.m. So, anyways, back to the Gid story. So Gid's apparently like, I fucking hate that tree. Burn it. And then Gid's like, do you see that stupid open plane? Hit it with a fucking tornado. Yeah. Fuck that stupid open plane. I'm tired of that stupid open plane. And the fucking stupid grass on it, too. But in reality, who's pushing? You got these people fucking following me around trying to force me to be part of their one of their fucking stories. I guess because I'm a white cracker looking individual, I get forced into 3, the northerner versions of the New World Order religions. Christianity, Satanism, and atheism, mostly. And I'm trying to be a Muslim and shit, if anything. Fucking, because at least they have 2 good, a step in the right direction is mutilating and raping females instead of boys. Because I really, at least we get rid of one of the problems. Fucking touching boys and shit. And, touching men, and then they, you don't need a trial. You wouldn't need a trial for Jeffrey Epstein. 3 things. He would just be thrown out. Well, I guess he was with girls. They would go after people worse than Jeffrey Epstein, right? Instead of protecting them and using Jeffrey Epstein as a scapegoat, as the Bible prescribes and created the word as. Fucking literally created it, because that's what they were creating when they wrote the Bible, was a scapegoat. That's how you enslave Egypt and then convince the world you were victims of Egypt. You write the Bible saying you were victims, when you were in fact the enslavers, and you have never stopped being enslavers and shit. Fucking... Just like they were victims in Germany, and they're victims in USA. Trump's a victim. Elon Musk is a victim. This nation's so anti-victimatic. But, okay, so space nerds think Elon Musk has these fucking space rockets and these space satellites, which means they've got nukes that they erased fucking and genocided a Japanese city with 100 fucking years ago. So they've obviously would have some sort of space laser where they could just burn a tree down from fucking space or some shit, or a balloon or flying in the air that could do that at least these days. I can light shit on fire with a laser beam 40 years ago. I've watched kids make fucking lasers that they have to wear fucking protective gear, and it's probably illegal for them to make that are going to burn, and do. Sometimes they demonstrate how strong the laser is by burning something. As is like a little kid in his basement. So someone has that. And someone also has a monopoly on the Gid delusion. And the Gid delusion involves enslaving people and making up fantasy stories like the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus to rape people's minds and make sure they pick the dumbest people alive, because if slaves are smart, then they'll be able to do something proper and figure things out. So you gotta have dumb slaves. And so their DNA, as simple as it is, like I said, people I meet have about 7 traits or something each. Not very complex. The only time I've really noticed anyone's ever changed is when I've like made them by like years and years of like trying to get them to go away. Or in 2020, that was a weird thing. All of a sudden people became someone else. That's like a one-time thing apparently, and it was designed. Obviously, it was 2020, the year of perfect vision, and I don't think anything changed except for that was probably fully designed to do that at that point in time. Probably in the storyline, Gid's chosen aliens had tried to promote their shit, which is what the Christians, the Masons, etc., the New World Order say they're doing. At least the modern Christians, right? Because supposedly the first Christian was different than the others, and they also made sure when they wrote that book 100 years after that Christian was invented that they told you that, all the people who are going to follow it aren't even going to be part of it anyways. So, but we got to remember that 100 years before it was invented, there was an actual Christian. 100 years before Christianity was invented, there was a real Christian. who had said that it would fall apart real fast and be other people eventually. But he hadn't invented it yet. So by the time it was invented, that would mean the Romans probably invented it, right? The Italians, you know, with the Pope and the Gold Palace, the people who look like the people who create and run every other religion, the people who created the religions before that, all 240 of the world's religions that they would go around and kill and colonize in each new people for, and mix them together and create strange delusional religions like Christianity, like Santa Claus for Christians who were commanded to genocide the fucking pagans, not do anything they do. You know, like, obviously that ended though by the time Rome changed its name to Italy. I mean Rome fell. My bad. By the time Rome fell. So let's look at what's going on. We got some trees burning down, some houses burning down, some people going around, some whatever they are, bots or alien shapeshifters on the planet. However they shapeshift or teleport, they're either aliens fucking with advanced tech or they're fucking bots. So whatever the correct term for the materialization or shape-shifting or teleporting that's required to appear around the fucking corner when I'm traveling hundreds of miles per hour. And then they're right there first time I walk around the corner and talk to someone. Or accidentally run into someone. Usually that's what it is. But I was testing it, so I actually talked to someone for the first time in my life when I was 40. So, yep. And so you got some aliens with advanced space, some non-humans. Obviously, that makes this thing's an alien. So aliens are a much definable term, whatever it is, whether they're actual, you know, android shells or bots or really and some planet enslaved by a bunch of aliens. Yeah. And no one does anything about it ever. Nothing has ever done anything about it. Yeah, that doesn't add up. Doesn't add up. They could kill off all the people capable of seeing it, and then one magically be born one day who could either. That's it. I mean, the calculations are. I don't make bets like that. Living beings, I don't think bet like that. Although if you don't care, it's fake money, and you know it's a fake world. I throw every cent I have on every stupid bet I could find. I bet you I just found a walking $100 bet. I just found a walking, talking turd that can fly and perform magic tricks. Yeah, I'll go ahead and bet on that. And so let's bet on the fact that GID is burning down trees to harm people. Now, all the comments on GID's chosen media from a lot of channels with no background, no nothing. Not that they can't just AI generate videos real fucking fast like they do Hollywood movies and Hollywood music to support the illusion. I get the idea they got to keep templates blank for some, like, what I'm seeing, if one possibility I'm seeing is correct, that means they have to keep templates open. So, but they already tell you there's a lot of bots online. So a lot of the bot commenters are like, GID's mad at Israel. And it's like, well, GID's attacking the trees. I think GID's mad at trees. He's attacking the trees, I think. It looks like he's attacking the trees. And who's going to benefit from this story, right? Well, they're going to benefit. They're the ones people worship as gods. They're the ones people give all their money to. So if you believe in God, if you're a Muslim, if you follow the Quran's the third Bible. Okay, so you have the Old Testament, the New Testament. Well, actually, it's the fourth because I was looking into it, and Catholicism was invented supposedly at the same time Christianity was, and no one has any idea which one was invented an hour before the other, which makes perfect sense because we have the Romans, the Italians, the Pope already on record creating a new religion for every city they enslave and colonize and genocide. And the only reason they don't fully genocide everyone is to enslave them. So, and then what does everyone do? Pay tribute to them every Sunday. So, just looking, here we are, boiling up to the end. It should probably just be like a TLDR at the end, at the start of every video. You can't just do that, can you? Those videos get banned. Be like, oh, I know these people are making up lies again. And their people don't have the attention span to make it to the end of these videos. Like, snorting all that cocaine's got them fucking hopping around like gerbils and shit all day, and on top of little baby gerbils. Fucking. That's the best I can come up with why I get away with this at the end of all these videos and shit. Just fast forward to the end. It's probably too much work for them to do, right? You could say that to start the very video, at the video. But okay. So who's going to benefit? They're the ones going around saying this stuff is happening. They're the ones saying God's going to give them this land. And that's being used to cover up the fact that they run every other land on the planet, or at least everyone I've seen. I didn't think they were in Mexico. There's a couple of them in Mexico, like following me around and peering. Yeah. And letting me know that letting me know even when I thought I was safe from them, that they were right there the whole time. So, can't be making that part up, right? It's not like I'm inventing that, because even the last person I was renting my house from told me at the end of my stay, he was like, I'm one of them. Like, my family's them, right? I'm like, I do now, yeah. Yeah, thanks for letting me know about that. I'm glad I know. Yeah. I feel really safe, and that just wrecked any chance of anything fucking here. And then there are people like take over the fucking nation with the recent Stein bomb taking over Mexico. So, I don't know who the last person was, but they didn't have that obvious Goldbergovich-Stein child raper son, type last name. So, it's obvious. Like Barack, I mean, it's not as obvious with Barack. You have to be literate to, but pretty well literate. Unfortunately, which means you're pretty well brainwashed, most likely, if you remember anything they say. But the name Barack, it should have been obvious at that point in time, because Barack was the prime minister of Israel at that time as well. So, but it's also an ancient biblical name. So, yeah, that's not as obvious. And Trump doesn't literally go by Trumpstein, so it's not very obvious what his children should look like. or what he might possibly look like if he didn't have a blonde wig on. So, yeah, you got those people running around telling people these stories, and I don't think that's probably not how that works, right? You can see right now, like those stories like go around killing each other off to steal land and enslave those people. So maybe like the story is just like a lesson for the children of the raped and murdered to learn. Like kill someone's parents, and you want to take someone's house from them. You kill their parents, and then you find some kids hiding in the closet a year later or something. What do you do with them, right? They're like in the closet, still like shaking and crying, like a year later. They look like they're starving to death or something. And what do? You're like, yeah, your parents owe me some money. Sorry about that. Yeah, I guess I'm your parents now. So, or you can just call me God. I'm God, actually. Yeah, call me God. I had to deal with that problem. So just worship me and stuff. You come out of the closet now. I mean, not like that. We gotta hide that stuff, but you can come out of the physical closet. Yeah. It looks like that's how that works, right? You just go up to someone and you kill them, and then if you find their children laying around somewhere, you're like, yeah, you should probably get a job or something. Yeah, damn. You're not in that killing mood anymore when you go and colonize people. Anyway, so they have the pattern of doing that, and they have their DNA patterns where if you've ever met these people, their personality type is pretty accurate with making up Santa Claus stories. I mean, that's kind of hard. There's certain things that just apply to everyone, but like I'm saying, I'm not saying they're any less special by only having like 7 personality traits. So I'm just saying it's there and it's easy to see. And one of these things is making up lies and delusions. I mean, is it just because is there ever an actual reason, like, to make up like crazy Bigfoot stories besides being like so they have these excuses. That's an attention whore, and they're just begging for attention. But it's like, well, literally, some of these people just killed and genocided a whole bunch of people probably 5 minutes ago, at least a room full of them, and then probably did the same thing about 12 hours ago, and a day ago, and 2 days ago, and 7 days ago, and 36 days ago, and 100 days ago, and 10,000 days ago. So I would say that looks like a pattern too, doing that type of stuff. And looks like something that's actually going on, and it seems to tie into the delusion stories pretty well. Like, I'm pretty sure some of these people just killed people a couple hours ago are doing it for the delusion stories, for Santa Claus. And then some of the people who got killed about 12 hours ago probably got killed over some Santa Claus stuff. And then about 48 hours ago, and we're probably skipping a lot of events in between these time frames. We're going back, every few minutes to what was written thousands of years ago. The Romans were going around. Caesar was going around with his delusion stories, and then Amon Ra had his delusion stories too. It was well, I can't even say for sure he had delusion stories, right? Because all I know is the people alive today talking about it. So maybe Maybe people, genetics with delusion stories were just created 100 years ago, and they replaced everyone on the planet or something, and are making up delusional stories about other delusional people. Because you got to realize with the Amon Ra thing, you have everyone telling you that there was a half bird god on the planet, and they're like, look at the pyramid walls. That there's it's a half bird person. And it's like, what I noticed is I never thought I'd seen a half bird person. I was like, yeah, it's a person with a bird mask on. But leave it up to the humans, and that's a half bird god. So, we're going back. We're going back at least to my birth. That the planet's full of delusional psychopaths. But they're claiming, if we were to dismiss the fact that being a delusional psychopath means that they're going to make up a lot of delusional shit, and pay attention to the fact that sometimes I've caught people telling the truth. Like, some people have been eating a hamburger from Wendy's, and they told me they were eating Wendy's, and looking back on that, like, these days, I'm like, wow, that's really an accomplishment. Like, this person might be able to advance the entire fucking human race and shit. You keep up that fucking type of activity and stuff. But it's like, I mean, today you got Santa Claus, Bigfoot, the Easter Bunny, half bird gods, and people just talk about it like it's legit and stuff. And it's like, that makes no sense. There wasn't a half dog god. There's never been a half dog person on this planet. I know who's been selling that, though. The people in Israel, who just happen to be the people who run USA and run Australia and run Ukraine, and Russia worships, and China worships, apparently. You can't be a Marxist if you don't worship Marx. And the people in the Middle East worship, and the people in Europe worship, and the people, well, the Native Americans didn't worship them, and so I think they got killed for it. So the people who are now in America worship, but that's because they are them, I think, for the most part. Minus some slaves they brought over on some boats who come from when they were the Egyptian time anyways, rulers. And then, let's put that together. They have a history of creating a bunch of delusions, and they have this huge delusional story that they play out and enslave the planet with. And in fact, they have about 7,000 different ones. They have about 240 separate ones, but they've revised it, for each city that Caesar colonizes, he creates a new Bible for. So each city that the Romans, that's what, I could be wrong. Maybe the Romans aren't Italians. Just because it's in the middle of Italy and it's the capital of Italy, it could be someone else took it over, right? Probably not. We literally were discussing the fact that this is all they can do is lie. Okay? That we're pointing these facts out. So, they have like 2,500 different Christianities. I don't even know about Catholicism. They might only have one. That might be for their people only or something. It does say, they tell you in the Bible it's for the Gentiles anyways. They tell you in the Christian Bibles it's for the Gentiles. They're just, the Romans are giving you a new religion. Rome failed, and each time their empire failed, they shed their frickin' snake skin. Their Egypt stuff must have been failing. They shed their snake skin and moved forth into Rome. I'm pretty sure I can assume around that these are the same people doing the same things and stuff. And they always have each other fighting each other too, so that's no excuse for how it possibly couldn't be. Because they worship the same people in the Quran, and the Catholics and the Christians, and then the leader of the Satanists funnels guns to Israel like a good Christian too. So, and then Einstein supports them and is known as a genius because he's invented bombs. He's taken credit for being involved in making bombs. This is the actual story. He didn't make the bomb. He didn't drop the bomb. But his face gets... He's the god of science. He's the god of science. They just changed the name from religion to science and God to genius. And now he's him and his twin Sagan and his twin Bill Nye. And his other twin, who's that other dude? Oh, they got one of those Barack Obama guys to convince you it's not him. It's not them. I can't think of his name. But he's a halfling, so he's easily disposable to them, right? He's just there to recruit new, fresh faces, new Gentile faces into the cult. And, so their media is telling you that Gid is burning Israel. Yet Israel's not actually burning. It's just woods and stuff. And in fact, like I can point out to you how houses burned in LA and I have, are benefiting the ultra wealthy because they're taking up that precious beach area. That place is really populated and it's on a beach, dude. It's a really nice area. I mean, it's like probably like the 10th, 20th nicest place in America. Probably used to be like really nice, and then they started having the hordes surround them, and they learned that you have to go build your mansions far, far away from everyone and not let anyone know where it is. So you don't know the nice places. From traveling around America, I can tell you, the places I've seen I thought were the nicest places, never even heard of them. Never even heard of them. And that's how they keep them. That's how they're going to keep them nice, too. Is you're not going to, until you hear them. When you hear them, here comes the families moving into the nice neighborhood. And then, I mean, plus it's like newly built, too. People can't afford that shit. Building a nice looking place on the side of a cliff takes a lot of money because it's going to fall off that cliff really soon. The insurance is going to be really high, and the development and engineering is going to cost a lot more than just pouring some bricks on the dirt and calling it a house. There's a lot of factors, but anyways, so LA, it's surrounded by like homeless people. It's not a good place to be. You would want to burn it down to the ground if you lived in Beverly Hills. And it's like mad overpopulated too. It didn't look that way when I was there in 2020. Like the world looked pretty empty, but I'm sure with all the mega center cities that it certainly has a lot of population. Yet somehow I didn't see any of them. There's a lot of buildings, a lot of houses and stuff. So we can always look at things logically rather than just believe in Santa Claus stories that they talk about. If Gid was attacking Israel, wouldn't he just burn it down? Why would he burn the trees down? I mean, I could see it if we're gonna if you gotta slowly wage warfare against them, but it's like that doesn't sound very godlike to have to slowly. What are we worried about? We worried about something here? I don't see it. We have a problem with that stuff. And, besides one or two cool looking videos, it didn't look too much different than some stuff I've already seen. I mean, none of these fires I'm seeing makes the whole sky, the whole horizon go blood red like it did in 2020 when I was driving around forest fires. And it looked fake as hell, and I never seen a single fire either. I mean, literally, like, the only thing I could come up with was someone has like put like when they worked on my car, because weird things were happening and weird people were working on my cars because of those weird things. And I was like, damn, why'd they install like a suit blower in my car to make me think I'm in the middle of a forest fire or something? And I don't see any fire anywhere. And then, like, they must be shining like red lights on the sky or something. I mean, like, seriously, like, it was fake looking. Like, how do you explain that? And all those fires are so tiny, you don't even see a red sky. So like, I guess that explains why you only see like 10 seconds of fire footage in some of these videos. Where is all the footage of these fires? Like, you're telling me, like, people are sitting in their house and they don't notice until the entire city's on flames or something? In the age when everyone has a camera in their back pocket and everyone records every little thing, knowing people see the fire and they start running instead of recording for once? I don't think so. And I see people like calmly driving through the fires. And you really wouldn't want to do that because the interior of your car is going to melt. So, and it's going to warp. It's going to warp. Like, if you're driving by like a 15-foot wall of flames, it's probably going to warp all the plastics and rubbers on your car. Like, that's how fast heat works when molding plastics and rubbers. So you definitely don't want to, like, slowly drive by and take a little camera image of it. But they did that, but there's no footage of, like, larger scales of the fire. I didn't see any footage of, like, LA catching on fire. The only footage I've seen is of a building that's, a city that's gone, and there's one building left on fire, or someone's in the middle of it taking pictures. And it's like, you waited that long to go out and take pictures and stuff? You're going to go out in the middle of all that happening and wait to go take pictures till it's completely covered the city or something. And then you're going to sell the images. And you could have been the only person who had images of the fires actually ramping up, because I didn't see them. So it looks fake, and you got their people. You got Israel, who controls the world. The Rome, or whatever they want to call themselves, wherever their base is. I mean, it's right there. It's a little canoe ride away from Rome, right? And they look a lot alike, and they act a lot alike, and they're doing the same thing. And their Bible's actually based and written from Rome. So, yeah. I would think it's the same people. I mean, obviously they used the Egyptian pyramid too. So, in the all-seeing eye, the New World Order symbology. So obviously these would be the same people combined. And so they own the media, and then they have their people talking about, it's probably only one video, and I can't even be sure that's real because it's just one video. But they had like a star on TV being like, it's probably God getting mad and he burnt my house down. And it's like, I was already figuring out. I think their guys are inventing gods at this point in time. I mean, there's 240 different one true gods, and they all tell you to worship one race, one small subsection of the white race as gods. Not even white looking, and they claim to be from the Middle East, anyways. They aren't even human looking, really. At the end of the day, I'm trying to figure out who white people would have raped to create that, or what people would have raped white people to create them. And I just can't find that mixture. I can't find that mixture anywhere. Like, I try to mix all the people from that area with different people and look up what their children look like, and they never like come out looking like they just walked out of a synagogue or a church or satanic temple or a science convention or something, right? They never look that way. I'm always like, yeah, maybe it's this. They do look like, Kanye West is like, Elon Musk looks kind of Asiatic. It's like, so is it the Asians like colonized and raped the Middle Easterners? No, when they have children, they look differently. And while the Chinese are against bringing the Roman religions, they were conquered by their ideology of Marxism. So they seem to be against that. The original thought lines, they didn't invent Marxism until like 100 years ago. They seem to be like, pretty much against that, mixing with that group. And so you got those people going around, they're on the streets, they're in my life. I mean, mostly this comes from being in my life and experiencing people and having to pull out what the fuck they're talking about. And they're like trying to push me to get involved, like my whole life. Like, I mean, shit, you're pushed from like the mutilation ritual from day one, which I think they just do to people that they've just conquered the families of. Obviously, the secondary religions that aren't the first would be for the colonized and conquered. It technically says that in the third Bible. It uses cuter terms when they say that. And you know what I think it is? I think when people are confronted by people telling them to worship them, or their evil friend is going, or their evil enemy, invisible enemy is going to torture them if they don't. I think when people are confronted by that, they're probably like being scared. It's like when they dress up as crackheads outside. Like, most people are scared of them, and look how they act when you don't have time, when you want to do something with your life, and they're the crackhead as needing $5 every 15 seconds for a new hit of crack. Look how they're known to act. It's like, I've got a job. I'm going to lose my job. Is Jesus going to go protect me from my job? From my boss? Is Jesus going to kill my boss or something? Because my boss is literally going to fire me, and then I'm going to kill him myself for taking my family away from me. You sure we got time to discuss this? Do I have your word on it? How about your children's lives, your children's word on it, that you're going to get rid of my boss so I don't have to hear this, so I can afford to eat myself. Oh, Jesus will provide me with food. That is correct. Once I'm homeless, you will come and give me 10 cents back on every dollar you've stolen from me. That is correct. You will do that. I will give them that. They have done that. Once they steal everything from you, they come back and they give you 10 cents on every dollar. My family's been doing that since I was a kid. They forced me to do hard labor, and then they would give me a little bit of noodles to eat. And They forced me to do hard labor for other people, strangers and shit. Fucking. I had a legit job, but it was like, for children, you got paid like nothing. Like adults got paid salary, and children, they just gave them a couple dollars. Even though that's illegal, they found a way to do it. And I bet you it's still legal today, too. Fucking, and I bet you there's more ways than one, because there's definitely more ways than one. I did that. Even when I got paid, I still couldn't buy anything I wanted. But that's what these people do, is they're like, gimme, gimme, gimme. And then after you've given them everything, you're like homeless and dead. And they give you flowers for your grave. And then they give you a little note on the flowers for your grave that said, don't ever say I didn't give you anything. Here's some flowers. I know you're not homosexual, but I like flowers. So it comes from the heart here. I'm just going to take a couple of these flowers home with me if that's okay. You don't need them anymore. You're dead. I like the smell of them. Them 7 personality types. 7 traits per person. Not sure if it's quite 7 types in total, but it's something around there. It's very, I mean, shit, bro. I was meeting clones before I was noticing I was meeting clones and shit. It took me a long time to it took till I was like trying to summon old people I met, and then I noticed it was like generating new versions. And it was before that, but it was definitely that like summoning. It was the start of that year when I had met my 3rd Joe. But yeah, so these personality things, it's kind of like what to expect. You can kind of expect something from someone, how they act, right? Like me, you can, if someone knows me, they can expect something from me, right? Except for the weird thing is that with me, you really can't, because generally I can adapt. You can expect to not talk to me eventually if you play some games, I'll tell you that. No matter how good you are at that. Fucking, I definitely see that real soon. Fucking, I don't even let you know. The more concerned I am with the game someone's playing, the less you're gonna know I'm aware that you're playing a game. I'd say it's safer that way, but the longest games I've been playing led me to the ICU, and so, or I can't necessarily say I was playing the game, you know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes I was just trying to figure out how to stop the game, and it just took a long ass time, and still ended in the worst possible fucking way. Even worse than that, it continued after that. Imagine being around someone who fucking's already sent you to the ICU and shit. Fucking, and trying to get away from them, and they still don't go away. Fuck. So, yeah, personality traits. Yeah, they exist. You can see them from a mile away. In one way is these races have racial religions where they explain to you who they are to keep their people networked together under the same banners of thought. Some call those nations. And only one race is allowed to have religions on the earth at one time, apparently, because that means that you can control the whole world, apparently, if you have a religion. Governments are backup plans for the religious people, apparently, and small ragtag groups trying to separate themselves from the bordering people who are probably part of God's chosen religions. 240 different one true gods. God's chosen 240 different one true gods. So those people have a story they need to interact or act and play out on the planet. Because if they don't play out the story, someone might figure out that invisible people aren't real, and that there's one race who is inventing all these invisible people. And someday someone might be able to find out that if you go to outside every store, at least in this nation, there is one race who owns everything. And if you look at all the leaders of the world, they all look like they're twins, most of them. And if not, they generally worship the twins as gods. So those people have the story they've been playing out for thousands of years here. And in order for that story to happen, they have to attack themselves. Now, of course, like, they're cowards, so most people are cowards. They're not going to kill themselves or their family members to conquer the world. They're only going to kill everyone else. Technically, that's not cowardice. That's killing anyone's really not cowardice. But I guess when it comes to killing yourself, yeah, that's some coward shit. If that's there's only one reason you don't do it. But obviously, for the colonization of the world, you keep your own people alive to do that, and kill everyone else. Like, it takes more than a coward to kill people, kill anyone, but it definitely takes a coward to, cowardly thoughts to be able to kill other people and then not kill yourself to promote the agenda. So they're burning. They could. Look, they have a history of setting stuff on fire and making up lies about it. Remember Moses when he was high on crack and he seen the burning bush? Well, supposedly they set a bush on fire to make up stories. And so they have a history of obsession with setting stuff on fire to make up stories, along with just like a general person. This is must be one of their 7 personality traits, to make up stories. Apparently sometimes they like to set things on fire when they make up stories, because I guess talking about fire probably takes your mind off the thing. It takes my mind off it. I just fire, yeah, fire. I want to watch the fire. I don't even care what these morons are saying. So if you're hey, the burning bush said some things, you're not even thinking this dude's a retard. You're damn, man, burning bush, man, talking burning bush. Wow, man. Wow, he's got some good drugs, man. So you're trying to be his friend and listen to what he says because you want to get some good drugs too. So, who knows the exact reason they do these things. Probably a mixture of all of them. And so in all their comments, Israel Tube, all their bot comments are saying yes, God's attacking Israel, and it's oh, he's attacking the trees there. It's he's attacking some grass. It looks like the trees and the grass are being burnt, and not so much Israel. And in fact, those might be trees and grass that are in the way of them colonizing the place too. So I would want to really take out a map and have a look at it before I said no to that, because right away that's the most logical thing that comes to mind is those buildings are in the way of something. On the West Coast, those buildings are in the way of the beach, and rich people should have a beach to go to and not live in such an overcrowded city. And they have to live there because that's where all the studios are. My mayor, my governor, I'm sure the mayor too, lives 2 hours outside of town. They don't want to live inside the city. They live far away from the city. We had to go a long way to protest out there. In fact, I'm not even sure if anyone else did end up there because I didn't see anyone else. Apparently there was a lot of cops patrolling the area, so they thought people were going to show up. So yeah, he lives way far outside of town. is not going to live in the city. But if they could burn the city down, they probably wouldn't have a problem with moving back into it, right? Because there wouldn't be any of the crackheads they've created. There wouldn't be any of the people they drug with their doctors' drugs stumbling around outside of those prison pipeline drug centers they got over there off of High Street. They wouldn't have the inner city people hanging out down there. Inner city, we know what that means. I live in the mostly white trash area, so they don't go hang out in inner city. They got rid of the mall at the inner city, so you see what I'm saying? They have no problem with getting rid of the city. And they got rid of that, I'm sure, for that reason, because they didn't want kids of a certain type going into the city there. So they have no problem with removing the only shopping mall they have in a large city in the middle of the city. People with money, like, I've known this since a kid. I've known 17-year-olds getting money who are working 4 hours outside of town, or, well, I guess 2 hours outside of town, and then whichever city, state they have to go to after they get to the base. And I'm sure they end up living out there too. It's always known that way. The inner city is trash, and always needs burnt out. But Israel needs all the land around it burnt down so they can colonize and stuff. So I would want to take a look at a map before I suggest they're just promoting their racial bloodline story. And again, this story it's all distracting from the simple fact that they own the entire fucking planet, and that they've created all these religions and anti-religions. And as long as we're promoting the narrative at all, then they're still the number one race on the planet. God has chosen them. A bunch of the 240 gods they've invented have chosen them to rule over everyone on the planet. And they say, oh, he's going to slap them on the wrist and then give them the lands they're stealing. And like all the while, no one's talking about how they own everything else. It's like, even if they would back off of this one barren desert they don't own, or they want to reclaim a temple from or something, whatever the real meaning there is, looks to me like they just want a path back to those pyramids. They seem obsessed with those pyramids still. Why would they still use those pyramid symbols and put them on the dollar and spray paint the all-seeing eye on like every street corner in America? And if they weren't like obsessed with that just as much as they are Israel, that's actually like no one in power wears a cross. Donald Trump sells Bibles. He's a salesman. He's selling Bibles to people he doesn't like. But he's always doing that. He's never going around going like this around crosses. He's always doing the pyramid when he's talking and stuff. And they have that shit spray painted. You don't get nowhere. Everyone, Kobe and LeBron are doing the Egyptian symbols and shit. So I mean, to me, I would think they're just trying to build a land bridge from Rome down back to the pyramids. I don't know why. I can make theories up, but you can tell that power structure is more pervasive. The Freemasons are more likely to use the pyramids than the cross as well. So it seems, pretty odd. A nation over here so far away to the northwest would be so obsessed with pyramids. If there was no pyramids built here until like 5 years ago. That's odd. I thought they were obsessed with Israel. You'd think they'd want to build like giant crosses and churches. Which, I mean, they do have a church on every corner and a cross on every hospital. But it's all the same people. You see what I'm saying? And so we got a million links to their DNA, creating personality types that make up grand illusions. And I mean, they're not even that grand illusion. It's just they made up some stuff, and their people have stuck with it, and slightly altered it for any new people they've genocided, or any, like, some of them must have begun to outthink some of it, so they created atheism. And obviously they created Satanism when they created the Bible, not when they wrote the Satanic Bible 60 years ago. They created Satanism when they wrote the Bible. And technically the Satanists would have plagiarized the Bible, except for the Satanists were working with the Christians and sending them guns. So they can't plagiarize themselves if the same damn race is inventing all this delusional stuff to conquer the world. So we just got story after story. I don't even have to bring up any personal interactions to bring up, the DNA delusional part, but where you can see it in like low level shit. And you got there people following me around, causing issues, trying to get me involved in this shit. And they're trying to play the good Christian, bad Satanist role around me, and all I can notice is they look exactly the same. Literally like some trans-sex, one DNA person. Actually, there's at least two, and then they have different shades when they mix with other people. I think they're still very obvious to see. Like Whoopi Goldberg doesn't look like other African people, and Obama doesn't. Obama does, but he's only like half. So I guess sometimes it turns up looking that way. But then again, I might be mistaken. And he looks exactly like a Stein mixed with an African, I think. But his mom has that not Stein look, that other ratty look. The Stein look is usually more professional. I mean, it's like ratty, but usually a more professional. Like the Rothschild get more like inbred, mutated looking and stuff. That's where Smithers, Mr. Burns, comes from, because he looks like the Rothschild and stuff. And they're known for, like, supposedly they look that way from interbreeding, but it's like, well, they could look that way because they've always looked that way, and that's what happens when two people, when one family continues their own bloodline as they continue to look like the bloodline. Not necessarily interbreeding causing genetic defects, but it could be the DNA was defective from the fucking start, because where did Rothschild's parents come from? He was born looking like a Rothschild, Amstel Rothschild. I didn't hear the story about his parents were forcing, them to continually only marry each other and keep a tight family unit like that. You know who else looks like Rothschild? Netanyahu, yep. That's an easy one to see if you just get it pointed out to you. And so So you got, you know who what Rothschild owns, right? Like, okay, they own AP Reuters, which is where all their brothers who own NBC, CBS, ABC get their media from. And they take that news wire and they just program it into their little bots, teleprompters, supposedly, and they're supposedly not bots, and they're live TV news anchors who can repeat the same words and the same cadence and everything as if they're master classes in literacy. And I can guarantee you, everyone in advanced English with me went on to be a writer and not a news journalist. Probably very few people have made it there, could have did that. So, and I don't think teleprompters tell you about cadence. You can put a comma every every sentence, but you can't really. I've never seen cadence. Like maybe it is somewhere in like some advanced English I didn't take. But I don't think I was ever taught about any annotations to describe cadence when reading a book, and you have to like just hope you're getting it right when you're reading a book and trying to sound like the characters in it. They got all that right. Anyway, so that's all Rothschild, right? AP Reuters is where everyone gets their media from, and obviously, um, Google is Bren and Sergey, and then the new guy who looks like a halfling from India, but definitely still, looks like it. And Zuckerberg, definitely Rothschild looking. It looks like a Jacob bloodline mixed with Rothschild right there. Um, and he looks like every Roman statue there is. If you think about it, he's supposedly doing martial arts now, he probably looks like Roman statue. Um, so they own all that media, putting all those narratives out. And you got to think of it. They've owned all the media. Do you own a book publishing house today? How many years ago did they start writing books? And this was the first book they started printing. This was the book with their very first publishing house that they started pushing out. So they push out that narrative on everyone. And some people say it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is saying that they're making it happen, right? Okay, so people are doing things, right? So they're making stuff happen. People are invading the Middle East to rebuild this homeland in their book. So we can see that that's happening. People are using the United States and Europe and possibly other places. I just don't have solid evidence on it. To help them rebuild. Help them. They're the ones entirely doing most of the work. I really doubt just some lone gang could just walk into a nation and be like, "This is my land now." There would have had to have been some sort of Roman legion or something to help them. And so they're talking about that. And on top of all that, to back up the weather weapon thing, like they tell you in their book that they're going to be recreating the creation. So even if you believe there's a supernatural entity, one of us has supernatural powers who can do things like that, then that means you probably believe the story that also says that the humans are on the planet trying to recreate all that. So we have them recreating the humans. They're creating new androids today, right? We have them recreating the food. They're creating GMO foods. We have them, that's not just splicing genetics together. we have them building things like HARP, weather weapons, which are designed to affect the planet through frequencies and stuff, which you can already do that. You can make laser guns that burn stuff. They ban laser pens from getting in the hands of children, toddlers, and unsafe adults in the 90s. So we already had lasers that could burn things for children in the 90s. So that's how far the tech had gotten, that children could go to the store with $2 and buy a laser that could start a fire. And so imagine how many years ago the government would have had that if children could go to the gas station and pick it up next to a Snickers bar in the 90s. And just because they don't show it to you doesn't mean it ain't there. They never talked about HARP. And Russia has their own HARP too. It's not just America. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be stupid for me to say that, there's no way you could invent a vape pen with a digital screen, because there it is. You need to change the setting on it. Got a battery in it. It's got an explosive. You can turn this into an explosive device real fast. And yeah, I mean, it's everywhere. Imagine if they're really going to space. How complex those computers would have to be. Like, these computers we're using are like a simple switch, and there's like millions of switches inside the videos of those ships they show. So there'd be like hundreds, thousands of these computers in order to operate that and operate everything on it, and then have like 100 redundant systems to make sure as each one fails, as they're bound to do, that it doesn't blow up, trillions of dollars of money, and the 6 people who know how to operate it. Side note, but that's kind of delusional to think that these computers can fail and they can make 10 million of them work together perfectly. That's kind of weird. Kind of unbelievable. Then again, I've failed when I've been making stuff and it's worked. And I don't think that was my fault it failed either. So the fact it failed, and then the fact it worked after writing the firmware failed towards the end. Both those things seem rather suspect. But yeah, I would suspect that they're playing out a role here, because a lot of that stuff really, I don't know. I made that video like a couple days before that happened too, didn't I? I was like, the fire doesn't seem to be targeting, specific places. Like the fires in LA didn't, okay, so when I say the fires in LA, that's kind of facetious. If you drove through LA, that area, the Palisades, it might be really expensive to live in, but it doesn't look rich and fancy. Like, if you come from another city and you drive through that city and you don't know anything about that city, you wouldn't think that that's like a really expensive place. There's a lot of areas, they have like flats, like places with like 1 bedroom in that area. And it's probably expensive as hell. but it looks like a flat. It doesn't look expensive. I mean, it even looks ghetto when they have to put bars over their windows. The only way you could even tell a rich person might live there, an actor might live there, is because it looks new. And understanding the economics of that city is that that's probably very expensive to live there. Because right up on top of the hill, you have Beverly Hills. And that's where all the real rich people live. That's where the Masonic Temple is, the Scientology temple. I'm sure there's a church on every corner, especially in poor areas. There's a church, so that wouldn't matter. You know what? I don't know if I actually seen a church up there. I didn't drive through there too much. For some reason, I felt odd and out of place. I only had like a nice Cadillac. I figured that was like a poor vehicle for the neighborhood or something, and that might get me tailed and stuff. So I didn't drive through it too much. I didn't feel safe there, so I didn't stay in the area. Plus, I wasn't stopping. I only stopped to talk to the Masons and the Scientologists. I was on my way up north, and I just wanted to drive through the city and be like, man, really, all these cities are shut down, completely dead, and they were. Like the ghetto was shut down, Compton was shut down. Inglewood was like shut down. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I mean, Compton is like a ghost town. What the hell type of shit is that? So I mainly just drove through there for that and not to sightsee in Beverly Hills. And plus, I got this weird, sick feeling. With all that crazy stuff that was happening, I was already having some real paranoid thoughts. And then, things started happening around. I think something started happening to my vehicle too, and I'm like, yeah, we're not gonna play this game. We're getting out of this city. Maybe they don't want you in this city. And oh yeah, and I stopped and talked to someone, and then they talked to me about my personal life, and it's like that was like halfway up the hill to get into Beverly Hills. And I was talking to them, and then they like turned the script around. I'm like asking them, I'm like, what are you guys up to and all this shit? And they were like turning around, and they were like kind of talking to me about personal shit, and I'm like, what? I've never been anywhere around here. How are you talking to me about this shit? And that was one of them, right? So I'm already suspecting that they control the whole planet through alien methods. So there we go. We have people who it's the basis of most of this stuff, other than the fact that I've gathered a lot of evidence on what's been happening. That's really what I base all this on is my personal interactions with the world. And putting it together. Like I don't see the fire burning down Israel, but I see them promoting their agenda with it, right? And just like the fires in LA, I didn't see it burning down the rich people's houses, but I see them promoting it. That happened. Those are expensive houses because they were on the beach in an area where they want to raise the property because it's so hard to live there because it's so tightly packed, and they also don't want poor people there. But those places look like it's kind of like shanty town compared to like places I would consider nice. But they promote the agenda, those rich people's houses getting burned down, and yeah, you probably have to be rich to afford them. But that's like that's that's like middle class for out there, I think. So the Prince of England bought a house right there, like a month before that. And he probably got a really good insurance payout for that. And technically, the Prince of England's kind of poor, and they aren't known to build gold palaces like the Pope either. But the Prince was like kicked out of the family, so he probably had a few of his gold cards canceled, you know. Maybe, possibly. Who knows? You just take a couple gold bars with you. I'm sure you can pay for whatever house you want. So, yeah, it looks like they're just making up their little story to me. And that's what it looks like to me. Because, this is what they do. I mean, they make up stories. They own Hollywood. They own the book printing press. They've owned the book printing presses since they wrote the world's first book, the Bible. They've been making up stories since they wrote the world's first book. The world's first book wasn't them writing a math book. Supposedly the Arabs had written down math and created math. Supposedly, as a lot of people say, they created math and stuff. And but the world's first book put out design supposedly to promote literacy would have been the Bible, which would be really hard to promote literacy if you ask me, because it's a lot of parables and it's pretty complex for a Clifford the Big Red Dog kindergartner baby's first book type book. So that kind of doesn't add up to me, but it does add up that if you're rich, you're the only people who are going to be able to write books. And so printing a book is going to take some rich people to do. And I mean, and to this day, their people own all the book publishing houses, at least in America. They own Broadway. That's New York is their capital. They invented the UN there and everything else. And then, so the plays, the books, Rothschild owns AP Reuters, which is where NBC, ABC, CBS, etc., get their news from. And everyone else making a video or something, including me, most of what I could talk about is just me watching them make stuff. You know, other than my personal interactions here, which definitely shift my understanding of what's going on. That's all I've ever talked about. I feel like a fool for getting involved in stuff before seeing it. Although I don't think I would have been able to put it together if I didn't push getting involved to the point where that attracts the other people around me more than they usually are. However, that's working here. I know ever since I came here, I've been mad at whatever's going on in the Middle East. That's what I remember about politics when I was a kid, is I don't want to hear about it because of that stuff. Because they're talking about like taking money from children, from like 8-year-olds to go like fund war efforts in the Middle East. And it's like, man, that's psychotic on so many levels. Taking money from 8-year-olds, it's like taking candy from a baby, except for I'm smarter than your average baby, so I ain't bringing in nothing for you. Let me donate to your church instead. I'll go to your church every Sunday and donate, and you'll get my money that way. Then the pastor can send checks to Israel, or at least the church is more designed to garner support to create soldiers and a likable base. I mean, that's how Rome operates, right? They go around and they colonize and genocide everyone, and they're like, we're doing this because we're good people, and your family are monkeys from the jungle, and you don't know how to act. You gotta be like us. You gotta like men rape men, and Men like to have sex with men. That's okay, and then just keep it in the closet, you just kill anyone who acts like a stupid monkey and wants to live in the jungle or the caves. Those are heathens. Just kill them all off, and that's how civilized people act. Yeah. So, as long as you can obey those rules, you can be a good Roman citizen. Pay your tribute every week. Every week to Lord Caesar, but every month or every paycheck, you got to pay tribute to Lord Caesar's government. Yeah. And then every time you purchase something, you also got to pay a little bit of tribute to Lord Caesar's government. Yeah, it's all like kind of like the same thing set up across the world from people with the same DNA code. So these repeat personality traits they have combine to and repeat actions of the past combine to suggesting that if they say the sky is blue outside in the media, that I would still go to the window and check and make sure the sky is still blue. Right? They say some supernatural entity is burning the forest near their town. Then I don't know. He either doesn't like trees, or maybe they're making it up or something. I don't blame them. You don't like trees. They are kind of dirty and stuff. I mean, they just throw leaves on the ground everywhere, and they like dirt a lot. I don't know. I don't think they're living beings, so I don't think it matters if you want to burn a few of them down. They're definitely not going to start a Me Too organization, though the humans might. I get the idea that, they've been promoting a narrative for a long time. And it looks like they're just using this to promote their narrative. And their people would be the people with, they own the government. So they have laser type weapons to start fires. And on top of that, when I was out west, they were hiding the fire thing, and a whole bunch of weird news stories. They were like, "Oh, Antifa started the fire," and it's like, really, Antifa started the fire? Really? Aren't they tree hugging hippies and stuff? Why would they start? I mean, they were just making up stuff in the news. And I didn't even see any fire, although my car was somehow perfectly enclosed that I couldn't hear sounds from the outside, and soot was magically appearing in my car still. I didn't see a fire, so I don't know how soot's appearing. And the sky was friggin' blood red. Maybe it just gets blood red sometimes in California, and then it just happened to be on the day there was a fire. That looked weird. I don't know how the entire sky turns red like that. I've never seen that before at sunset or anything. Pretty cloudless day. So anyways, putting that together, you got those people going around talking about this narrative, pushing these things. I mean, what explains how they teleport or appear and stuff like that? That right there says they probably had laser weapons to start fires thousands of years ago, which makes you wonder if there is any such thing as a natural tornado or a natural forest fire. Or a natural hurricane, something like that. Because, whatever tech that is, whatever is making that stuff happen, it seems like that would be after you would learn to create fires and floods and hurricanes. You would learn to do whatever the exact mechanism is that allows that to work, teleportation, manifestation, the mind control. Like, it's definitely, I'm assuming it's one of those three things that would be required to summon clone-like individuals or create the illusion of, or advanced technology inside a game world, one of those four things. So, looks like they're just pushing and promoting their agenda, and they're telling you they're going to do that too, right? Like, aren't they telling you, like, in their book, they're telling you that they're going to be trying to recreate the creation? So, that would mean that they're setting up people to attempt to play God. Like, create androids and learn to create fires and floods and stuff like that. They're already doing some of that, but that comes from their books, so I wouldn't put too much effort into thinking we're going to find answers from the people creating the questions, or creating the problems. Not too many people have actually answered the question, the important questions, about how's that happening? How's this happening? How all these people gather together over here? How they write on the internet they're going to ambush me and try to kill me, and then they did all work together to try to kill me? How'd they do that? How you guys do that? You guys don't even know what you're doing, do you? You're just trying to kill everyone and everything, huh? I just happen to be one of the people you've chosen to write on the internet you're gonna fucking try to kill, and then try to kill me. Just happen to be. Get no answers. I'd get no answers from any of this stuff, so wouldn't expect to. But you might as well just assume they're attacking themselves to make their story happen, because so many ways that protects them. It protects Israel to burn down Israel. Like, because they own everything else. They own like most of this nation. They obviously own Italy and Rome. They own the minds of a lot of other nations who worship their people as gods across the entire planet. From Karl Marx to the Pope in China and Russia to obviously USA, which is like quite literally them in the open with their pyramids even and stuff, and New World Order early symbols. So it's probably them burning themselves for attention, right? And like the media's covering it, and then they're like, God's coming, so what, they're going to like set up and stage that God's coming to Earth or something. And no one's going to point out the simple fact that God is missing. Like he's throwing fireballs at the planet and he's missing the important targets, and I guess he's just getting warmed up or something. He's hitting the local Dairy Queen instead of like the Golden Palace. which is like 10 million miles away anyways. But I guess when you're throwing fireballs from space, you might be missing, or it might be designed to not hit anything too valuable. And create the illusion some of that stuff's happening, because I can tell you whatever's going on when I mess with it. It doesn't seem trustworthy. I can't accept the manifestation and stuff like that very at face value because of those things. Like sometimes when you ask for stuff, it does that. It's like, oh, look, there's a fire. It missed that city and hit the forest over here 10 cities away from it. And you're like, huh. Well, I guess maybe you're just lying about to have anything to do with me. So, that's the way it looks like to me. I mean, obviously, the base of what I see going on is there's an alien race enslaving the planet, and they have a robot race with them that is their minions. I think they call them golems. In the Bibles, they have this word called golem, where they create non-humans to be their servants, but they look like humans. And so these days they call them androids. But back in the day, when they first landed on Earth and started enslaving it, apparently, what they called them was golems, just like they used to call racial supremacy religion. And then they had to create a scapegoat term. They had to create the word scapegoat and the term and explain to you what it is when they created the Bible. And then they later created, the Bible is a good scapegoat too, because they would have been the rulers of Egypt and enslaving Africans, and obviously Middle Easterners too, because they're right there on the border, and it would have been easier to grab actually the other people than to walk across the desert with slaves back then. And then you create the Bible, which invents the word scapegoat, and you say, oh, we were slaves to Egypt. What happened to the rulers of Egypt, though? I guess they dried up and blew away. They never wrote a book explaining themselves. All that money and all that power just disappeared into the pages of history. It disappeared in the pages of their story, I think, when they wrote the story saying that they were slaves in Egypt. And it looks like they got a habit of burning down their places and then walking away and being like, oh, God freed us from them. I mean, like with their attack in USA with the weather right now, and they're attacking their own place, Israel, right now. And then what does that lead to? That leads to more belief in the book that God chose Israelis to rule the planet. And also, Israel distracts from, apparently, somehow it distracts people from questioning how is Israel happening and being like, oh, that's because they own these other nations who are also doing that. So and then no one asks, well, why do they need to own 200 out of 214 nations on the planet and then still need 201? Still need that one nation they don't have yet. Which obviously Greater Israel is like the other 10 nations, they don't run, but people who look like them that might run, like Saudi Arabia. They actually look close to those people. They look close to a couple people. That's how they fit in everywhere. But they don't ever look like a mixture of when I look up what people from those countries who look like people from those countries look like, their children look like when two of them come together and have a child. I don't have a large sample, but I have a basic enough sample when I look into it to like be like, oh, yeah, that's not it. That's not what that looks like. So, yeah, this story that they go around telling the world, and everyone in control always has these stories. Just how many of these people in control are actually them? They got the cross and the New World Order pyramid and the satanic pentagram and the atheist sign. So we know that those four groups are ran by the same people, at least. That's easy to prove. You just look up who they are and what they've done, and put their pictures beside each other, and you realize that's the same family. And so, and you got Karl Marx in China, and yeah, there's a weird Mao-looking person who brought them Karl Marx when China had a history of saying, no, you can't bring your missionaries into our nation. So they have cause to invent a non-religion to make people fall for them. Just like Satanism and atheism. Satanism was invented early on, thousands of years ago, in the Bible itself. There was no Satanist when they invented that term. They only recently invented that for America. And apparently the atheism thing wasn't a very popular thing either. And it didn't have, I don't think it had a term atheist. I don't know. They would have called them non-believers and heretics back in the day. But it's still like the same people controlling it and controlling the narrative, and they bring their psychopath child mutilation, pedo rape rituals with science. So you can tell, like, yes, this is the same person, and their people are trying to control everything, and they have to include like their sickest personality traits in it. I mean, you could leave that out. You could leave that out and almost have zero links other than Einstein genociding the Japanese. And obviously calling for the erasure of the Germans too. Which obviously Hitler and Goebbels look like them, so they probably ran it. But Ukrainians don't all look like the guy running it, but he's one of them. Although Ukraine is Khazaria and they have the pitchfork on their flag, and the pitchfork is just another sign. I mean, everyone's using their signs across the planet, so they've fully colonized all the world, and obviously replaced a lot of them because people would fight back if they were like a majority in their own nation and someone else was trying to colonize them. And then that's where all the wars probably come from, is erasing those people to spread their ideas. And a lot of the Muslims aren't doing much for the to stop Israel. Like, okay, so that's another Bible. Like, why would you plagiarize someone else's racial religion? I don't go around inventing the new KKK for people who don't look like Jeffrey Epstein when they take their white hoods off. Why would I do that? I don't go inventing the new Nazis for people who actually have blonde hair and blue eyes. Because I wouldn't associate with them with those brown hair, brown eye supremacists like Hitler and Goebbels and Musk. I wouldn't have to plagiarize their stuff and be like, no, dude, your God came to earth and said, we're the new gods. We're the new people. That doesn't make any sense to stick with that. Now, what does make sense is their stories of how they say that's what they invent religion for. And before they invented the Bibles, they were the Italians, the Romans, and Caesar was God. And then when they were the Egyptians, they put on a bird mask, and it was probably, I wouldn't doubt, as many people, not just one Amon Ra. Anyone could put on the bird mask and be God, right? So if he was like tired, or let's say he was on vacation and he had to make an appearance or something, anyone could have put on the bird mask or the dog mask and been like, I am the half bird God. And everyone would be like, oh my God, it's a half bird. I've never seen it before. Or is that like viciously sick, sadistic people these days trying to convince me that someone would have believed that back then? You tell me humans were so stupid back then. I mean, they haven't changed much. That if you put on a bird mask, you could go outside and be like, I am a bird. And everyone would be like, oh my God, it's a bird. Check this out. I am a vape pen. Hold up. See, look, you can tell I'm a god because I'm half a vape pen. That's not even human. Right? Did that work? Did that convince you guys? I don't think it. If it did, like, you're an amazing specimen, to be honest. You're an amazing specimen. We should study you because we could probably learn a lot. But I did not just become a vape, even though it feels like I might have become one with a vape. I did not just shapeshift into a vape god. So here, hold up. I am hair. I'm the half hair god. Check that out. I'm the half hair god. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, I'm sure that worked. What we have is people today who are probably the ones doing it, who have owned all the media since then, since they owned slaves and forced them to write on pyramid walls, and then shortly after invented Bibles, and invented like 18, well, technically there's only like 5 Bibles, right? There's the Catholic, the Christian, the Muslim, the original, and the Satanist Bible. The atheists have to like hide their links and stuff. And they had to change the word, just like they had to change Caesar was God to God is invisible and said worship Caesar's people. With atheism, they had to completely change invisible God exists to we're geniuses. So it's almost like a step back, to be honest. Like we went from Caesar is God because he is the greatest, and then he controls the world and invents all the people of the world, and then Caesar gets killed and Rome gets destroyed, or at least their colonies get taken back by their slaves, and then Rome invents the church, and then a story about a guy 200 years before they invented that who opposed what was going on in Rome. So he was opposing these people in their Bible, the original Bible, and then they also get to control the opposition narrative to the original Rome and stuff. And now they're the new Rome with their gold palaces, except for we can't use we don't use the word Rome because not all Italians were Romans. Rome is just the capital of Italy, and it just happens to be near the Pope. So, and then they get over here and they get the atheist thing going because apparently someone was probably like, "Are you sure your invisible friend said that you should be worshipped as gods? You know, we should worship God through you and give all our money and everything we own to you." And apparently someone said that and sparked them to create atheism. And so then they changed the word invisible God back to, not back to, but to genius, you know. So we went from Caesar as God to invisible people have chosen Caesar's people to be God to Caesar's people are geniuses and we should worship them. Except for they removed the Caesar from before people and they remove worship them from it, and they just come out and they say, "I am genius." You know, like back in the day, did Caesar have to go around going, "I am God, worship me"? Or did he just go, "I'm God"? And everyone's like, "Oh, it's God. It's Lord Caesar. Lord Caesar. Lord Caesar." That would suck if every time you went and colonized someone and took over their city, you always had to add that every time. Like, "I am Caesar. I'm God," in case you guys didn't know. I am God. And so, yep. And we got people making up lots of stories and pushing a storyline for thousands of years. They're not really making up lots of stories. It's all kind of like the same story being pushed and stuff. It's retailored to modern audiences, like most stories are. And hell, I said that's what I said a couple days before those fires started last week, or at the start of this week, was that looks odd that it's not actually hitting, you know, like valuable strategic points like warfare. If God's at war right now, then I guess he's at war against the trees currently, which I can think of, you know, some good purposes for that. You know, if you're at the point you want to like torture people, get rid of the trees and the grass and the animals and leave the people there, you know, get rid of the wind and the oxygen too. Leave the people there if you want to do that. It's a long way of going about things. Hitting some trees up and some grass. But it looks like, I mean, dude, how forces the narrative that 2020 happens. And then that just happens to be when you get the option to have perfect vision as to what's going on in the world. That doesn't seem like something that someone just magically did in 2020. It seems like something that would have been set up at least 40 years ago to have happened in 2020, because that was definitely like probably the world's largest shift I've ever seen. That was and then all the stuff I seen on top of it, but like that shift alone was enough supporting evidence that without seeing the other stuff. So I would just think that they're probably just burning down some trees and pushing their narrative probably burn down some trees to steal some more land or colonize some land that no one wants burnt down, which is a viable alternative to the recent West Coast story. Is there's no there's no beach out there for people to go enjoy. And you got all those people up on the Beverly Hills who have no beach to go to. Although that's going to attract a lot of people to that area unless they enforce it with some sort of newer beach laws or something, probably. But yeah, so that's all I can think of. Obviously, like we're having to listen to people and their crazy delusional stories since we're born, and so we can't necessarily listen to what they're saying. We have to watch what's happening and what they're doing, and make the best guess about what people could possibly be up to. I mean, that's what you got to do with even low level people in your life, right? The majority of people in my life like seem suspect, and so what happened? I got time to post all these videos, so they aren't here, right? What happened there? I wonder if I was ever correct on any of that stuff. I wonder if I ever found supporting evidence to support my theory that I might be being lied to or something. Because that would be the only reason why I would really like just not care when something's fully gone. And there's very few times I have that. I have a lack of supporting evidence. Hell, a couple of the last people I met, a couple of people back, I think it was like day 2, I ran a test because I didn't want to spend years around someone who I knew was lying. And so they failed the test day 2. Like, this is like a person working at Kroger, stocking shelves. You know, they don't appear very high up unless it's an alien shapeshifter, which it does look like those people who teleport across the place, and they were surrounded by them completely too, and they were saying weird stuff. I mean, it's odd when like one of them like ends up being like a clone of someone who I'm hanging out with on the weekends already. That's some weird shit. What a waste. So glad I could waste my life here on this planet. So great. We'll never figure it out, right? Because Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, and this is like a widespread personality trait, apparently. Just the ability and the want and the drive to just lie about anything, even the most simplest, stupidest things. You wouldn't even have to make up a lie about, but you do it because it's all you fucking do. And so that's all we have to interact with. That's the base fucking for questioning any of this. Is anytime they talk, you gotta question it. Like someone comes up to you and says hi. Like, what are your first thoughts? My first thoughts are like, before that, my first thoughts are, there's a person down here about a mile away. What's about to happen? So if they get close enough to say hi, we're already on the path. You know, we've already suspected that this was going to start. And then when they say hi, you know, all sorts of emotions and thoughts can flood your head. That's generally, I think when people talk to you outside here, in this part of the city anyways, it's to get some money for crack. So at this point, you know, on this side of town, I would be like, Yeah, like checking to see if I have money before they even show up. Um, so like, yeah, that's where it starts. Before they even say hi, you're like, what's this going to be about? Obviously, if it's like April, one of those days that month, if someone's walking up to you, they're about to be like, oh, happy giant bunny day. And then if it's December, around the end of December, people are gonna, you might think, oh, they're gonna be flying invisible reindeer day and stuff for the Middle Eastern supremacy stuff. Yeah. For the Pope, bunny for the Pope. Is that why the Pope likes giant bunnies? Because they look like cute little boys? I wonder. Bunnies are really vicious animals. We had to keep ours in a cage. They look cute and all, like, they look like rats. Did you know that? Did you know they're just pretty much like rats on two legs? Hmm. Makes sense they worship bunnies, right? Kind of. Well, I'm sure we'll figure something out someday, right? Like we're on the path there. I think it looks more like we're on the path to knowing that we're not going to figure anything out because all that stuff in 2020 didn't explain a single thing. It just showed that it's capable of it, and they'll continue, you know, with their stories of Bigfoot and begging for crack money. If you're not low level, they're begging for like genocide money, right? So money to uh, go help feed the last six Native Americans. They got locked in a zoo somewhere, something like that. Ah, those are the good people on the earth. Did you know that too? Like they're the good people because they say they're the good people. The ones controlling all the drug cartel centers that do the pedo homosexual ritual on newborns, males. Those are the good people on the planet, and everyone agrees with that too. Like that's weird. Everyone just agrees with all those red flags all along, and I was just trying to avoid being around people who like flags and not seeing all the signs, not seeing all the words written on the flags and stuff. But I guess interacting with it makes it look more like it's set up, and that helps see that. It's not just like people saying that really matters. It's like actually seeing like people teleporting across the earth with narratives to put in your head, and trying to get you involved in those narratives. Hell, I wouldn't call the first time. I would say narratives were pushed to my face that I can recall. Anyways, obviously a long time before that, but I wouldn't say the first time that happened was even like trying to push narratives in my face. It felt like the narrative like came with some blackmail and stuff, like kind of like pushing me towards like maybe you should do this because what else is going to happen if you don't? And it's like, oh. And then that turns into they're like, oh, you should help the homeless because this could happen if you don't. And it sounded like that. This is like a stranger showing up at the beach talking to me about my personal life, and their shape shifted to the form of Michael Douglas, and he acts like. So I question. It's weird, like when I interrogate these beings. He says he doesn't know anything about Michael Douglas. He doesn't know who that is. And say, how does someone not know Michael Douglas? But the thing is during that interrogation phase, I didn't see any tells. Like there wasn't any shifts in emotion in his face, like he was lying or joking. I didn't. Maybe I didn't. I didn't look for every tell possible, but I didn't see any quick or slowed down response. You know, like uppity, like out of hand, or slowed down response that you might get from someone who's just been like caught in the spotlight. Um, so that definitely felt like some narratives being pushed, and and then what does that lead to? Like I go along with that narrative, and then you get a bunch of violent crackheads being sent into your life, nickel diming you, and then you end up in the streets probably a few days faster than you would have. And then you got narratives where people are kicking you out of where you're paying to live, and then making up stuff after they poison you that night, after someone who looks exactly like them poisoned you that night, and then you have one of them standing right beside you ready to take you to a new hotel for the night so you can get it figured out where you're going next. And yeah, definitely looking like a long string of narratives. I mean, that's just day after day after day there. Sometimes many of those things in one day. So this narrative going on looks weird because, you know, like you have those people promoting a story and pushing an agenda. And obviously the teleporting shapeshifter people would be, well, they look exactly like Elon Musk when they come to you generally. So obviously they would be the people who own all that advanced space tech and the ability to burn down nations, which just happen to be the people who live in those nations. And those nations aren't really being burnt down. They're I think some trees are on fire or something. Looked like a lot of flames, but in one video had some cool footage, but I was having a problem finding that again. And then you got the Rothschild media promoting that, you know, their YouTube. The comments are filled with people who are like, "Yes, take that, Israel," and it's just like. Yeah, like, are you new to this show? Like, a couple of trees in their forest burned down, and you think you've won a 6,000-year war against them? I'm sure a couple trees burning down is like the least of problems they've ever dealt with, and it doesn't look like a need for celebration. I mean, how many times have I dealt with them? Do I think like burning some trees down, maybe a couple buildings, would like be any sort of advancement? Okay, so let's say it burned down 6 buildings. How many buildings do you think they built that day amongst all of the nations that they run? How many? Well, they probably built about 7,000 to 700,000 new buildings that day, right? Like successfully completed, probably seven to 50,000, right? But actual in progress buildings being built, well, that's probably a lot. I've been to cities where there's like 100 to 1,000 buildings just in the center of the city being built. So, yeah, doesn't. The mathematical calculations there on destruction versus growth are negative. You know, destruction has lost versus versus growth and development. In many cases here, and the stories, you know, obviously lots of stuff here doesn't add up, and that's really your clue that the rest isn't going to add up. Once you see a lot of it is this hogwash Santa Claus stuff. You know, like, if you've only seen like Easter and you know, this flying reindeer stories and Bigfoot, you might not fully get it, but if you look into it enough, they got a lot of that going on the planet, everywhere, down to people around you. Trying to, like I said, like, I had those interactions with people who, weirdos talking to me about my personal life, and, you know, homeless people digging in dumpsters talking to me about my personal life and shit. I really don't see that as what they say. Just like I don't see what the rest of what they're saying is what they say. Obviously, they would have learned in the Roman and Egyptian times, or they could have learned, they might have learned, that you can't just go around saying, hey, I'm God, because eventually people get mad. So what you do is you invent something separate from the government, and that way you have a backup. When your government fails, you have a religion who is above the government, there to save the people from the government. But at the same time, it's the same people. And then it can also detect when people are against Caesar. You know, if Caesar didn't force everyone to worship him as God, and Caesar allowed for an external, invisible God he worked for to create an organization to help organize people, then that group could be, you know, used to vent steam. Be like, well, we don't like Caesar anymore, and then it can be used to identify and document those people who don't like Caesar anymore. And as you can see, like the cops here, they have their Star of David and their pentagram. So how could you be any closer to religion than wearing their priestly robes? They have the symbols on them. All they need to do is change into a robe, but they can't do that because they need body armor and stuff like that. They need, you know, pepper spray and guns. And that doesn't, you know, like, if you put on a robe, then that would break the illusion that the robe means we're not here to kill you, we come in peace. And it's like two polar opposites ran by the same exact people. And it seems to have separated at the time they wrote the Bible. At the time the Romans wrote the Bible, right? It would have been them. That's where it's like centralized that, right? That's the last people who ran the earth right before that, too. So, yeah, it's pretty simple to see. The video just could go on and on and on, because we could just point out the links to repeat patterns, repeat behaviors, repeat stories from people who are inventing fairy tale illusions for not so great of reasons. Is there a reason to invent a fairy tale illusion other than a bad reason? The only reason I could think of to go around telling people that I have a flying tiger at home and it's God's child, or it's one of the demigods in the planet, would be the only thing I could think of why I would do that would be just to lie to you if I wanted to laugh at you and make you look stupid. Or I might have a mental condition. Someone once who lied a lot told me some other people were some liars. And then people around me were talking about this word habitual liar. So I suppose it exists. So there might be some people whose genetic code just tells them to lie constantly. Although I've caught some of those people, telling the truth. They're like, we're going to McDonald's to eat it. And then we end up at McDonald's. And I'm like, huh. Looking back, I'm like, wow, we went to McDonald's that day. That's crazy. Like, were they possessed by Satan or something? Why were they telling the truth that day? What was wrong with them? They must have been high on crack, or they must have been fucking withdrawing from crack, something like that. But we have that, don't we? Look at YouTube. What's on YouTube? What was on the store shelves when I was 8 years old? I go there and they got stories about Bigfoot, and Tom Cruise has a baby with a bat. And when you're 6 years old, you don't really know what's going on in the earth. You got people trying to convince you there's flying reindeer. So either there's some manipulative frickin' people who lie 24/7 and got some sick fucking thoughts and ideas in their head, or there might be half bat people on the planet. Yeah. So there's the people on the media go as far as that, like back in ancient times, making up Bigfoot stories and promoting it too. No evidence at all. Even NASA promotes Santa Claus. Like, those are the people who claim they go to space and stuff. So they prove themselves as fully capable of creating lies and delusions to sell you products, to get your money. And who's behind their cults? Well, the same people behind every other cult, every other religion. They just started to invent anti-religions because apparently that works too. It's like an ebb and flow. You invent your Caesar and then and your Ra, and then people get tired of those delusions, and then you invent invisible people to say to worship you, to worship Caesar, and then it looks like it's like ebb back, and they're back to being like, oh well, Einstein is God, he's a genius, he's so smart. Hey, just look at him, he's Einstein. He's making stupid faces. Only smart people can move their face muscles. It takes a lot of brain power to do that. And everyone's like, oh my God, it's a genius. Why? How does he make such amazing faces? Does he do his own hair that's so unique? He must know all about beauty and style. He's a left brain and a right brain genius. Yet there's no evidence he's ever done anything except for lead a cult that carried on the torch of some pedophile ideals, which seem to be a gold staple that is a requirement of biblical religions. To do pedo child mutilation, and then let's not forget, as usual, In the book, they say they're anti-child sacrifice, but they're not anti-child pedo rape mutilation rituals. So I guess maybe that's because the book sounds like a manual for slavery, and you don't want to kill off the children of the people you just killed and raped, because then you won't have slaves to work the land. So you don't kill the children or something. That's what it sounds like to me, because it's like, what's worse, being alive, like after some homosexual rape mutilation ritual, and then being like, living in societies where like that's what's done, or being dead in a society where they occasionally kill a baby. Well, let's see. When you're dead, you don't have to feel anything. You're not going to feel bad that you're dead. No one raped you, possibly. All the things that they say are they kill children. They never mention they rape them. And they aren't grown up to be a slave to the child sacrifice people. It's all full of that wish-washy stuff and making up nonsense and just running it and then altering it over the thousands of years to see what works and what doesn't. And it leads us to them unfolding. See, inventing the Satan 2,000 years ago leads to them being able to unveil the Satan, which is obviously something they would have to do at some point in time to promote the story further, especially in a time where they have to invent opposition to themselves and like atheism and stuff. Like they're losing a lot of followers. Saying Einstein's genius isn't going to get, Einstein elected as leader of every nation he sends an army to drop a bomb on, right? No, and the Japanese never elected Einstein as the new Caesar for Japan. And you're going to have to like add some bits to that story that probably might throw up some red flags for people who would join that in the first place if you want to successfully do that. So now the parallel to that is like Satanism, right? And that is designed as a throwaway. It was invented in the same book, a couple chapters around the chapter that invented the word scapegoat and defined, technically it's the dictionary for the word scapegoat. And and they also brag they got to release their karma on that too. So they can technically, if they write those stories in the same book, that could be them releasing their karma, telling you that they're going to invent Satan's scapegoat, even though they don't say we're going to invent Satan's scapegoat and then use it to bamboozle the world if people ever stop believing in us. They in their minds, in the mind of fucking people who invent things like this and say words like we've got to talk about it to release our karma, in their mind that's telling you what they're going to do, even though it isn't. Just like none of the other stuff they do is them telling you what they're going to do, and they're claiming they're releasing their karma. Bill Gates is like, we got to reduce the population in Africa. He's like, by helping them and things like that. And it's like, well, he's not really telling you we need to go pump them full of poison vaccines. It trails off into some other woogie boogie invisible man type land thing. Like, I am here to help you. We are the peace and love and truth. You must reduce your population, or your carbon emission footprint will cause your nation to flood and catch on fire. Isn't that weird too? Like, you got parts of the media saying that God's causing the fire, but they've been prepping you for all this stuff by telling you that global warming's causing all this stuff. And then there's probably still people out there still talking about that. I see some comments online still talking about that. I don't see the media saying that. Like, why not just report on it like that? Like, I guess they kind of are. Like, I'm watching the weather page to see what it's like outside, and kind of keep tabs on this every now and then, like, in between the floods washing a house down the river, they're like, what can you do to reduce your global carbon footprint in the next video, and stuff. But they never, they're never like, during the tornado video, and when the tornado or the fire is like wiping out a house, they're never like, well, that's what you guys get for throwing trash on the ground. Like, well, that would make too much sense. Yeah, it kind of, I don't think those people are the ones throwing all the trash on the ground. Country people usually burn their trash. Yeah, it's releasing carbon footprint, right? But there's a lot of trash out here in this city on the ground, especially over here on this side of town. But I was noticing trash, like in 2020, I was noticing that everywhere I went. There's like some weird change. I hadn't seen that. That definitely wasn't a thing in the old neighborhood, or neighborhoods I lived in. I didn't even see that when I lived in the hood, but then again, people in my area would pick up trash out of the yard and stuff. Like, the homeless people would go through the dumpster and throw shit everywhere on occasion. But the homeless people don't do that here. They just throw their trash wrappers on the ground, or someone does. The people go through the dumpster in this neighborhood. They don't throw shit everywhere. Yeah, so anyways, so patterns. That pattern changed. That was a little off topic, but that pattern changed in 2020. I seem to notice more of that in 2020 than before. And I would be highly suspect about what these people say, because I wouldn't trust anything anyone says, really. So, yeah. Even the person I met who, like, I met a couple people in the past who said things. I don't remember their exact words. It makes me want to recall them. But even the last person I met who was like, yeah, talking about the Santa Claus stuff, and they're like, I know you don't believe in that. I'm talking like a literal genius, like member of Mensa. And they're like, I know you don't believe in that. And it's like, is there someone else in this room who does? Does someone else in this room believe in that? Like, if I believe in it, is that going to make it happen? Because I believe there could be Walking Dead. I haven't tried so much with the dinosaurs, but I haven't seen any dinosaurs walking around either. It'd be nice to have like a pet T-Rex, like I can get a parking spot, leave them outside, and then we go for walks every day and stuff. I don't think believing I need a T-Rex or a saber-toothed tiger has really changed that. I had a half wolf once. I don't think I asked for I might have asked for a wolf probably at some point, but it's not like I was really focused on it. Like, yeah, you know what, I need a wolf. Like, I never realized how cool that was until I got one. Um, and then I realized how uncool it was quickly when it accidentally, or I don't know if it was accident or purpose, but it killed my other baby animal I was raising. Probably playfully, probably accidentally, but I don't know, man. It might have tried to shut it up, or because it like meowed all the time. So that's weird. It took it straight to the fucking toilet and drowned it. That seems like some fucking, like, my baby wolf had some fucking thoughts and shit. But apparently the human was dumber than both of them and put them in the same fucking house together. But a baby fucking wolf, which is a husky, which is nowhere near the size of a baby anything. Teen wolf, fucking teen wolf. Its attitude was definitely teenager. It wasn't baby. The other one was literally baby laying on the ground crying. And so that fucking human, dude. That fucking human was the one who should have got its fucking head kicked off and shit. But it didn't. I had to protect my life too. We didn't need any more lives lost. I tested that shortly after and fucking almost lost my life. So fun times. Yep. So humans, you gotta trust them. So when the TV says something, you gotta trust it. Just turn on, YouTube's all full of stuff. Can I pull up something cool here today? Will there be something cool? Last time I pulled it up, I was like, one of the only times something wasn't on the media that looked just totally bogus and stuff. And oh shit, I'm also pulling up I'm pulling up my software, which I like can block channels. So I have a lot of channels blocked, but like this, apparently I can't block Kim Kardashian. So, and Madonna. That pulls out. It's the first thing in my feed. Can you imagine that? This is the rest of my feed. Mortal Kombat, Cyanide Christ drum chart. Isn't that weird? They would make something called Cyanide Christ. A lot of this media just pops out of nowhere. My Funeral by Dark Funeral cover. Wing Chun, drumming, stretching, magnetic core memory from Soviet Russia. That's technology stuff. But what they're forcing here that for some reason doesn't give me the option to black out, like my software doesn't give me the X there to black out, is Kim Kardashian, and I guess it's called the Met Gala. Kim Kardashian loses a nail. See, that's so weird because I'm always talking about how like some people are going around and like the worst thing in their life that's ever happened is they broke a nail, and like they'll be crying, they'll be calling up all their friends and their grandma and be like, "Grandma, I broke a nail today" and stuff, and it just pulls that out. And then Venom, and then here, hey, it got this part of it right, but you think the algorithm would realize that I pretty much will block anything that's like pop, Hollywood, because it knows right here in the movies to bring up. It's selling Gladiator 2, Venom, The Last Dance, Tom Hardy. I don't know what The Apprentice is. It looks like it's a movie about Donald Trump, possibly. Dennis My Hero Academia, that's on point. Deadpool, Wolverine, some called Love Hurts, whatever that is, and Amora. It's a little off there, and it's got a Disney thing, but I do watch a lot of Disney. But that's Lion King, and I watch a lot of Tiger stuff, so that makes sense. Nosferatu, I wouldn't watch that, but it's horror, so. Okay, so right now in my feed, it's like showing me I think I gotta click on some. So we got body count. Let's click on the body count and see what it shows us to the side, to the right. A lot of times it ends up being more than like that. Kim Kardashian stuff is slightly understandable because that's like Hollywood and Hollywood hotties and stuff. And I'd be willing to click on that at one point to see if there's any hot chicks in there. But yeah, right now, okay, so I've got a lot of stuff banned on this. I should try to pull it up, but it's like right here it's got like the fake guitarist, and I'm trying to ban all those channels as much as I can because it's like gossip. Like I ban like the gossip stuff. To me, that's as close. That's like fake itself. Like I know there are a couple people who look fake, but the Bigfoot stuff is not appearing today for some reason. This is the second time I've made a video, and I went to pull it up and to like read what it was feeding me, and it didn't do that. I guess if I'm gonna waste time, I would make the video that second. This video is not about that, but this video is just about the stuff they feed you and the movies, and then see, it's weird. Like I probably don't have feeds, stuff in my feed right now of like Israel on Fire because I probably banned every major media outlet. Some pop up every now and then, and like there's a CBS in every state. Probably every city. Same for NBC, ABC, Fox. So sometimes, even though it's against FCC regulations, it will like pop in like St. Louis, NBC, ABC type stuff, and then I'll have to ban that. Generally, it's like it had like a lot of weird, crazy stuff, and a bunch of religious stuff too. So I gotta avoid like typing in heavy metal songs because of that, because that'll lead straight back to bringing up the news and stuff. But they got a bunch of AI generated stuff they were sending me about religion, and it's like, oh, that makes it seem even more real than it did in the first place, doesn't it? And all the AI generated videos about it. Yeah, that was a waste of time. So I probably only have like a couple hundred channels banned. That's weird. There's only 200 channels on YouTube with millions of views that put out that crazy stuff, Bigfoot stories, and generally that's what would be right beside it. More recently, maybe I have this new account tailored a lot better, and I haven't accidentally typed in the wrong words minus some heavy metal, but I don't know. I've been watching the algorithm, and that seems suspect. How does that algorithm work when I'm walking outside in the real world? How does the algorithm do that? What does that have to do with an algorithm, huh? Anyone want to explain that? So yeah, there we go. That was a waste of time. Other than the fact that for some reason the software I use is designed to pop up that in my feed. The Met Gala thing. It's actually not there right now. I scrolled back to the top and it went away. But it was like a feed it forced you and stuff. Maybe it's trying to distract me with hot chicks or something. Anyways, yeah, so that's it. I'm going to quit looking. Clearly, it's not throwing in this feed on this specific thing. I'm not even going to try going into a new, different channel or opening up the new thing. I bet you though. Next time, if I ever do that again, I'll try to remember I'm signed in on an account on that browser. And I've got a new browser here I don't think I've been using, so I'll switch. I got like 8 browsers, but generally they're tied to different things, so I've got a new one here I can probably pull something up on. What a waste of time. Why am I even doing that, right? So, I don't know, like, I don't know what other people get in their feed. That's why I'm doing that, okay? So that's why I'm wasting your time with that. And so, obviously, this is a new old browser. A browser I forgot I had. And yeah, so yeah, I haven't been. I don't have the block ability on this one. So right here in the feed, obviously I get NBC News, even though I've never looked at NBC News. Saturday Night Live, even though I probably never watched any videos on this. Obviously, I'm going to get NBC News, but I'm talking about the other stuff, right? NBA, obviously, all that's expected, but that crazy psycho stuff. Anyways, I'm closing that. That's not shown up in that feed either. But it was for a long time, for like several months there, it was showing up. It was like Bigfoot type stuff. It was like fake stories. I'm pretty sure if I use that account, I'm uploading this to, which I don't anymore, because of that. A large portion is because of that. Because I want to test and see just how fake the algorithm is versus it understanding who I am when I use a different thing. Like, I get stuff in my feed I shouldn't be getting, like a bunch of stuff about, I don't know. I've tried to erase my feed. I've tried to change my date. I've erased my history there, which is supposed to reset it. And then I've changed my date, my age, because supposedly the other excuses, because they're going by my age and stuff. And it's like, well, I'm pretty sure I don't let anyone know my age at this point. And you would, like, I think my YouTube, my old main, the one I'm posting to here, I don't really have a new main. I just don't really use YouTube anymore, except for music, which I'm looking for alternatives to, like just downloading it and not using YouTube at all. And yeah, it doesn't change. It changed the drug ads I got from marijuana and mushrooms. Marijuana and mushrooms to alcohol when I changed my age from 40 to 20. I think I had to, I'm not sure if I had to change it to 19 or I had to change it to 21. But it's still like tailoring my feed. And I'm pretty sure I didn't change my age back either to like someone who's not 20 so much. It's shown a lot of older people's stuff, or it was yesterday at least. I noticed that. Like, I can't ban on this device, so I just don't use that account and stuff. I don't like signing in and seeing a bunch of the steroid people talk about hard work and all that stuff when I touch steroids and I don't go to the gym and I don't eat, or I didn't eat and I still gained. And it's like, oh, I think that's got something to do with it, huh? That might. And then like the most recent one was some stretch dude bringing on some muscle guy who's like, muscle stays with you forever. And it's like, oh, really? Like, is that why Ronnie Coleman started wearing like 3 sweaters at a time when he had to cycle off gear because he had heart problems? Because I'm sure it wasn't because he was like 91 pounds under all that after he quit, right? Um, so, yeah, muscle stays with you forever, right? It sure does. That's why people go to the gym all the time, because you only got to go once and you're fit for life, right? Maybe if you take something that magically transforms you. Some people got implants, but anyways, yeah, I mean, that's still part of like the stuff that's going on in the media, right? Is those people are taking drugs that not only changes their size, but it gives them the drive to do things too. Like it's not just that; it's like taking meth that makes you grow muscles. It gives you a drive, and somehow, like that changes the world around you. But who's in control of all that stuff, right? I have to go deal with Israel. I have to go ask Israel for any of their drugs, for any drugs, if I want drugs, because God has chosen them to run the drug trade across the planet. So that way they can get their, Caesar can get the Italians, whoever they are, the Pope, whoever it is at this time, can get their markup fees and their 10,000% tribute. That shit's expensive if you go to the doctor to buy drugs. It's a lot of time too, which is more valuable than money. And it's just like, damn, I just don't want to go around any of the cults. I don't like cults, especially when they cause problems. I don't like cults that cause problems. Is there a cult that doesn't cause problems? Now that Einstein takes credit, he's famous for dropping bombs on Japan. I would assume there's not a cult that doesn't cause problems. So I don't know, and I don't really care. I wouldn't like really want to go hang out with cults too much and stuff. That would be weird. I bet you I could take a guess at what would happen, and I would be pretty accurate. And I've already experienced those things, so it kind of old. I go around singing songs about my cult's the best cult, and worship the cult, and do what the cult wants. My experiences are weird with that. Like when I chose myself to go do that, the first one I had was so weird. It was like I was being baited into going to it. Imagine that. Imagine being like, being like born into mutilation pedo rituals, and then when you decide to go interact with that stuff yourself on your own for once and not be forced to. The first time leads like some weird ass shit, like some people were just inserted in your life to take you somewhere and drop you off there and then disappear out of your life, as if I would stay there without the person who took me there in the first place. That was weird. That was pretty weird. We never know what happens in this world. I don't think we'll ever know, because no one's ever going to be honest. So I don't expect, outside of we're going to go get a cheeseburger, ever hearing anything that's ever going to be truthful on this planet. So, waste of time to talk about it. Talking is what females do, and wasting time is as well. Of course, USA is this nation that invented this LGBT thing, so their men are prone to, putting on dresses and talking about nonsense a lot. Apparently nowadays, I think it was always, might have always been, but apparently nowadays definitely. I had one of them trick me into starting talking. That's why I'm still talking, even though I'm not making documentaries. It's kind of pointless. We're not going to get anywhere with any of this talking, huh? We didn't get anywhere with any of the other stuff I was doing either. That was a waste. You think I'd learn by now? Think, what else am I going to do? Like, I'm like sitting here like just waiting to die. Like, it's fucking been 40 years now. Yeah, I'm sure we'll go places. Just like when we tried to, and the human race prevented us from it, and then they didn't even die off from the COVID and shit, so it's not like we won that battle against them. They didn't even quit doing that, yet alone fucking the ones behind it get erased. And they're fucking still doing that with their little terror fucking cults. I mean, that's more of what they're doing. That's what the Christians and Satanists and atheists and their race from Israel does. They run the drug cartels across the street too. I mean, this is the personality type. I don't think they can change what they're fucking created as and shit. I don't think when the game generates a new one popping out their vagina, it ever decides to throw a random modifier in there. So that's just what they do, is make up shit to try to control shit. And, well, so they do, so they can continue to control shit. Simply burning down your forest near you to promote your agenda, which promotes your agenda, implies that, if you're a detective, that gives possible cause for why would you burn down your own forest, because it's promoting your agenda. You're using your media to promote your agenda with it. What do? Well, Kabbalah Khan said it is time to go back to sleep or something, because we gotta hurry up and get this life over with. Fucking, this is way too long and drawn out. Fucking humans be little bitches, be like, something good's gonna happen someday, just keep being our slave. It's like, you've been saying that a long time, and nothing good is going to happen. Like, that's what their little parasite asses do. They be like, be our slave, and when you die, you go to heaven. When you die, you're dead, bitch. When you die, the only reason you're going to get some peace is because you're not going to be a slave to a fucking human ever again. They can enslave you when your corpse won't fucking move until they figure out a way to reanimate you. And then they'll do it if it's fucking not cost prohibitive. If it's cheaper than creating androids, they'll dig your fucking corpse up and you'll be back fucking working in no time at all. And this time you won't be crying about having a fucked up back or a fucked up knee. This time you won't be fucking getting out of hand and being like, what if invisible people don't exist? And they didn't actually choose you to enslave me. Fucking, yeah. Dead people make better slaves. If we can figure out how to animate them, they won't fucking, except for they won't, I guess part of it, animating them would be able to recruit them to go spread the good message about slavery and genocide and pedophilia and homosexuality, um, and who to give our and mostly who we must give all our money to and our children to and everything else. Um, yeah, dead people would make good slaves. Fucking, it's probably something they would look into, a lot more if reanimating people seemed more like it could be cheaper than just creating robots with replaceable parts. Definitely seems like, it's cost productive, prohibitive. Even if they could easily come up with a way to sustain the human. Like, sustaining a human for thousands of years is probably way more expensive than creating a robot, too. So that's probably not in the works either. Thankfully, that would suck if by the time I'm dying, but like before I'm dead, like they come up with a way to live forever. And then you have to like keep living, and it's like, damn, this whole time I was like working hard at trying to die, and then now I have to live forever. That would suck. I miss the days when there's no cameras everywhere. And I miss the 90s when there's all that street violence and shit. Fucking need to have more of that. Need to have less cameras, less Nazis. Fucking, it was kind of like a checks and balance thing. Now it's like homosexual pedophiles, racial supremacists run the fucking planet, and they use technology to do it. Fucking like YouTube, like Israel Tube here. They're obviously already doing that in the past because they created their Bibles thousands of years ago, and they created all their other religions before that, most of them. But it was a lot harder work, and it's good to see them working. It's always good to, except for the fact that I know like some people around me weren't actually working. Which is, it kind of mutes that whole statement, and at least they're fucking slaves when they're not actually doing any work. In some instances, they've told you that. Obviously, with the whole teleporting, appearing, manifesting thing, I'm doubting most of those things have ever done a day of work. Outside of that, appearing to talk, which might be an actual job for some of them. I think it's got something to do with that, though. Most likely. Yeah. Man, my life's set up for them to. I was talking about the one time I chose to go there. I didn't choose to go there myself back then either. It was a girl who took me there, so I guess, yeah, I didn't choose to go there. But they disappeared for some reason after they like decide to send someone in my life to take me there. And I was like, well, that's not gonna work for you. Like, you're gonna have to work harder than just showing up one day and disappearing and think I'm now like your slave. And not going to do anything with my life ever again. Just sit here and listen to how I should breed children to go fight for Israel. Yeah, that's weird. There's so many in my life like involved around shit like that, like trying to force me in those directions. Very negative experiences almost every time. in 2020 is when I actually was deciding to go to a few places myself because there's nothing open. Like, there's nothing to do. Um, and so I figured, why not go interrogate the church, people at the church? And so I did that. See if they have any information. See if they have any actual knowledge that they have hidden in a secret library somewhere or something. Suppose there's someone somewhere does. The Vatican supposedly has books they don't want people to read. I suggest not reading any books though, because they've been writing them all and they probably don't have anything of value in them. So, yeah, there was a lot of weird attempts coming from that side, from the shape shifting, teleporting bots or whatever they are. Alien bots are alien. Bots are alien to living beings. Think I'm supposed to believe? Am I supposed to believe there's like an alien race on this planet? Is that what they believe in? Shit, is that what they think in their heads? Yeah, that's what they tell everyone, right? That's what the word God, angels, and demons translate to, is alien species on this planet fighting. But who's the one telling you they exist? Is it possibly that they're the aliens themselves? They're the non-humans themselves, and they're trying to get you to worship them because people are worshiping them and giving them all their money and time and lives. So that's weird that like we're supposed to trust an invisible alien has said that everyone gives them all their time, money, and lives. Um, yeah. So those are the people in the media. Yeah, good luck with that. Those are also the people in the street. And I'm sorry for making a video about any of that stuff because no one should have to listen to any of it.